Coming up next, Indy Park has a lot to celebrate today, and the tournament hasn't even started. And what can you learn from the two-time U.S. Women's Open champion? Plus, fashion fails? That's a tragic term. The men in Blazers are along to remind us of some of the major swag bogeys of Open's past. And we're on location all over the place, from the Midwest to the West Coast of Scotland to the great state of New Jersey, with news and notes on the eve of another huge week in the world of golf. It's Morning Drive now. Good morning, welcome inside Studio AP, this Wednesday edition of Morning Drive. Gary Williams alongside Paige McKenzie, Amanda Blumenhurst on the eve of a championship you were so proud to participate in. But last night, ladies, we had the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, and a Seattle Mariner was the hero. But looky there, the U.S. Open champion, Brooks Koepka, took in the game. You see Joe Buck, John Smoltz. I guarantee you Smoltz is headed to the American Century. He couldn't get out of there fast enough. You know that.
I know golfers love baseball, but I think baseball players may love golf a lot more.
There's no doubt.
I would say I think it could be a close tie. I think all athletes love golf. You see, like hockey players, football players are like, I want a piece of that action. I wanted to go to the All-Star game. Oh my gosh.
2-1, and Robbie Cano, the hero, a Mariner. Hey!
Every time you mention Seattle or Mariners, I get a smile on me.
I know you do. All right, what is happening on this Wednesday? Well, Alex Noren, who's been one of the best players in the world over the last year, is set to defend. He won the 2016 Aberdeen Asset Management Scottish Open, defeated Tyrrell Hatton by one shot to earn his 5th career European Tour win. He's won 4 times since winning that tournament last year, and you can see his accompanying tee time with Tyrrell Hatton and also Adam Scott, who's going to get a start in the run-up to the Open Championship. Coverage begins tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. They'll tee off at 8:20. You'll see a lot of their round. Now, our dynamic duo, they made their way from Northern Ireland to the west coast of Scotland, so let's check in early this morning with Di Doherty and Damon Hack.
Thanks very much, Gary. Yes, we're here in Bonnie, Scotland. Beautiful sunshine today. Damon and I have travelled over from Northern Ireland. It really is a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Damon, you walked the course yesterday. Give us your impressions about what it was like.
Well, first of all, it's just great to be here. The richness of the history of golf in this region is just rife. The stories, the golf courses just down the road, Prestwick, which hosted the first Open back in 1860. Down the road as well, Troon, which hosted the most recent Open last year, the great duel with Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson. The same train that runs by those golf courses runs by Dundonald Links. You have Barassi here, Western Gales. It's a wonderful golf itinerary. So I thought about all of those things as I was walking these beautiful links last night.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. I had a quick walk around yesterday as well, and I was really in awe of every single hole. This course, actually, it was taken by Loch Lomond in 2003, and since then it's hosted a variety of amateur and professional events, including Senior Open qualification, European Tour qualifying stage 1, and the Ladies Scottish Open, which was held here last year and is held here in a couple of weeks' time. And in 2 weeks' time, it's actually a co-sanctioned event with the LPGA Tour, $1.5 million up for grabs. So this course is making a statement. It's very exciting times, and exciting last night, Damon, because I was watching the Hero Challenge, which is an innovative idea by the European Tour to get more people involved. It was a par 3 shootout, and some of the world's best were playing, and the winner was your very own Patrick Reed.
Yes.
There was a bit of shushing on the green. He was throwing a club down, but the crowd absolutely loved it. The aim is to get more people involved in the game of golf, and the Hero Challenge last night did just that. Now, Damon, back to the course. Just tell us what kind of test it'll be this week for the players.
Well, it's a par 72. I spoke to Scott Henn, the big hitting Aussie, yesterday. I was walking the golf course with him. He said he expected similar scoring conditions perhaps to what we saw last week at the Irish Open, where 24 under par was the winning score for John Rahm. This golf course has very wide fairways, and as you watch the tournament this week, pay attention to some of the quirks of the golf course. You notice a couple of spectacles holes, spectacles bunkers on 17 and 9, very similar to what you see at Carnoustie. So it's a proper links, as they say over here.
Yeah, proper links. We're trying our Scottish accent accents. And in the field this week, it's incredible. 4 of the world's top 10. You've got Rory McIlroy, Alex Noren, Ricky Fowler, Henrik Stenson, 12 major champions, Stuart Sink, Jason Duffner, they've come over. We saw Matt Kuchar as well. He was playing in the Hero Challenge last night. So a real stellar field. We cannot wait to get this tournament underway. From Bonnie, Scotland, we'll head back to you in the studio, Gary.
All right, gang, thanks so much. I said early morning. It's lunchtime on the west coast of Scotland. Meanwhile, what also is happening? Brittany Lang, she'll attempt to defend her title this week at the U.S. Women's Open. Last year, she won in a playoff over Anna Nordquist. That 3-hole playoff had some controversy. It was her second career LPGA Tour win, her first major championship, and you can see she's going to be off the 10th tee at 7:40 a.m. Eastern Time at Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster. And for a preview of what is going to be a unique week, let's send it to our Steve Burkowski.
Good morning, Gary. And on the eve of this final day of preparation for the U.S. Women's Open Championship, the story so far this week has been regarding President Donald Trump. I go back to Tuesday in the Media Center, and I've been covering this game and majors for nearly 2 decades, and I've never quite been a part of a day like Tuesday with many of the world's best meeting with the media. There were several questions about this championship from those that cover the game on a regular basis, but almost immediately, each and every time, it was followed up by a question from a news outlet regarding President Donald Trump and the possibility that he might be here on site by week's end. Many of the players pretty much across the board deflecting the political conversation, focusing rather on this championship and what the U.S. Women's Open is all about. And there are rumblings, the possibility that President Trump will be on site this weekend. Of course, we will keep you updated if and when that happens. But let's turn the focus to this golf course. The first time in 30 years, the Garden State hosting the national championship for the ladies and the USGA. But this golf course back in 2009 played host to the U.S. Girls Junior and the Junior Amateur Championships. I was back here 8 years ago watching Amy Anderson and Jordan Spieth win those titles. When you look at 2017, it's a big golf course, 6,732 yards, and the USGA hoping for firm, fast conditions. Mother Nature might have something to say about that come Thursday into Friday morning with the possibility of some heavy rain. But regardless of what Mother Nature does, this is a golf course that's going to demand shot making, course management, great thinking, Gary, all the things at least ingredient-wise for a great recipe and a national championship here in New Jersey.
Burko, looking forward to your reports all week. Someone who hopes to be celebrating at the end of the week, well, she can start celebrating now. Happy birthday today, the 7-time major champion, Inbee Park, who turns 29 years old. And of course, she's got those 2 major wins that came here at the U.S. Open 2008, earned her first career LPGA and major victory by 4 shots over Helen Alfredson in Minnesota. And then 5 years later, she was just dominant, winning by 4 shots out at Sabonic on Long Island as she was raising 3 because that was one heck of a year. But you look at her career accomplishments, it's remarkable. I mean, 29 is young. Yes. It is to me anyway, and she's done so much in the game already. So when you look at her, it's interesting. You know, great players, we talk about having an edge. Sure. And she is so chill. And she goes about not only the way that she comports herself, but the way she swings the golf club in such a methodical way. I think she lulls people into the belief that she's not hyper-competitive. She is.
You have to. You have to be hyper-competitive in order to go out and win the way that she has in such a prolific manner, and especially in the biggest events around the world, including the Olympics, which I still think is her crowning achievement, given the circumstance in which she competed under. If you don't remember, in Korea, they were asking her not to go. There were media members and players around suggesting that she give up her spot because she was injured, and she came out after not competing on the LPGA Tour for several months and ended up winning the gold medal. You think about what it takes from a mental capacity, not only the competitiveness, but to sustain under pressure the way that she does in the biggest moments, to me, that is her edge.
And also, Amanda, the other thing about sustaining prolific winning with all the youth in the game, she won't be pushed aside by all these young players.
She won't. We're saying that 30, 28-9, that's not considered old by any means, but in the LPGA now,
it is.
You're one of the older veterans, and she is not going to be pushed aside, and it is because of her methodical manner of playing. She's ranked #1 in greens and regulation, but she says that she has the most confidence right now in her long game. So it's not even just like her putting. She is confident in from putting, irons, wedges. She's a very confident player, very cool player. What I love too is after the Rio win, she still had to take 6 months off. She wasn't able to come back and play because of her thumb injury. Comes back in March after not having played and wins the HSBC Women's Championship. And so, even taking time off, 6 months is huge in golf.
Yeah.
And so to be able to come back and play, it shows how mentally tough she is and also how much raw talent she has.
No question. You mentioned her long game. It's always great when we have one of the best instructors in the game with us. Travis Fulton, take a look at that driver's swing for us, and good morning.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a fun one to break down as well, and it's a game really built on precision for MB Park. She hits a lot of fairways, nearly 80%. Greens in regulation, about 75%. And oh, by the way, she's probably the best putter on the LPGA Tour. And a swing that I like to look at and some things that I think you can learn from at home. When you watch Envy, I get the question a lot when we take her to the top of the swing. It always looks like she's kind of standing up a little bit. You can see how the spine kind of elongates or extends back. What's key when she does that is she turns up this way. She still kind of keeps her orientation down like this. So many people at home, when you turn and you're losing flexibility, if you try to keep your spine down, it's hard to get your arms high enough and complete the turn. I think with MB, you can see the spine lengthen, but yet still keep that left shoulder down. Now, from here, watch this. I love this move. You see this a lot with good players. The first move is not so much completely lateral towards the target, but watch how she kind of sits it down here a little bit as she swings down. That right hip is working kind of down this way. You can almost kind of see it spinning into the ground. She's not just pushing off lateral like that, but she's kind of moving a little left, but then rotating and sitting it down. And with her club so vertical at the top, that helps that club lay down and sequence up nicely with her body. Now from here, we're going to switch those lines, and now it's going to go straight towards the target. And you can see here as she turns through, after she's really sat it down, she's going to go ahead and swing it through here. And you can see now everything just unwinds towards the target. So I like that move, where you kind of lengthen up a little bit and then kind of sit it down, and then from there let everything turn and move to the finished position. She sequences it beautifully. It really gives her full control of the path and the face, which again, she hits so many fairways and greens and lets that putter go to work. Back to you, Gary.
All right, that's great stuff. Also, what is happening now on the PGA Tour? The John Deere Classic, Silvis, Illinois, where Ryan Moore returns to defend his title. Got his 5th career PGA Tour victory last year by 2 shots over Ben Martin. Marked his 3rd consecutive season with the win. Also propelled him onto that Ryder Cup team as well with that performance he had in the Tour Championship. He'll play alongside our most recent winner, Kyle Stanley, a couple of weeks ago, and William McGirt, who is also a winner. Coverage tomorrow at 4 p.m. They're off at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. What also is happening? Another huge week for PGA Tour champions. Bernhard Langer looking for 4 in a row at the Constellation Senior Players Championship, which would be amazing. He's already won this season 2 majors, looking to add a 4th consecutive senior players title. He defeated Joe Durant, Miguel Angel Jimenez by 1 shot for the 3rd time in a row. And for more on his wins in a particular area of his game that is very difficult for the recreational golfer, let's get a tip as he is joined by David Marr.
Tell the folks at home now, if they're faced with this uphill pitch, little uphill chip shot around the green, what do they do?
Well, I would suggest first you want to check the lie. You know, is there a lot of grass behind the ball, or can you make some clean contact and put some spin on it? So the lie I had on 14, similar to this, the lie was fairly good. I just didn't have a lot of greens. So I would suggest that the most lofted club you have in your bag, with me it's a 60-degree lob wedge. If you have anything like that, go for it. And then I would suggest to just open the club face a little more so you elevate the ball more. Key to this whole shot, I think, is keep your arms moving. So, and sometimes keep the belt buckle moving a little bit too. So your arms and your body are connected. I see a lot of amateurs that just kind of stab at it, or they're trying to pick it up, you know, elevate it by doing this, and you shouldn't be doing that. So I'm just trying to make a rhythmic stroke and catch the ball fairly clean.
Right at the championship trophy. And one quick question, with the club face open like that, do you then aim further to the left, or is it still the straight?
Just slightly, you know, couple inches. It won't do a whole lot. But the key is, again, to make good contact. So the ball comes out with the proper trajectory, hits the spot, you know, pick a spot on the green, try and land it there and let it release to wherever it needs to go.
Well, Champions Learning Center is tonight at 7:30, an all-new edition. And by the way, we're going to be joined a little bit later on by a two-time U.S. Open champion to get a preview of the golf course and the event itself. So it is 1:15. Do you realize how much is happening in the world of golf? We couldn't get to all of it. We tried, but we have 2 hours. And with that, we say good morning to Bailey Mosier. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing well, and we do have a lot to get to, so I'm going to tell you about it right now on the tee sheet. Like you mentioned, Gary, it is a major championship week for the PGA Tour champions, but also on the LPGA. As we get you set for the first round of the U.S. Women's Open tomorrow, we're going to take an in-depth look at a couple of sisters in the field. That's Aria and Moria Jutanyagaran, as a little appetizer of what to expect this week in Bedminster, New Jersey. And speaking of appetizers, we have a dietitian joining us in studio today to help build the perfect plate that is not only balanced, but with a focus on portion control, because your diet is kind of like your golf game. It's not necessarily the how that matters, but the how many. And at last year's Open at Royal Troon, everyone was grappling to come up with a moniker for that epic Sunday battle between Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson. My personal favorite was the Duel of the Suns, but you can feel free to make up your own when you rewatch one of the greatest Opens in history tonight on Golf's Greatest Rounds, right here on Golf Channel. That's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And this morning, we're going to have a little sneak peek of that for you. So Morning Drive is live on a Wednesday. We are back right after this short break.
What would you name it?
How about Damon in shirt sleeves in Scotland?
That's unusual.
That's bombing.
Better than the sleeveless?